For 3 years, I believed Lena and I had built something strong enough to survive anything. We argued sometimes, laughed often, and always came back to each other before the day ended. I was saving money quietly because I had started planning something bigger. One Saturday, I met Marcus for coffee and placed a small velvet box on the table. He stared at it. "You finally bought the ring." "Not exactly. I'm still paying for it." Marcus laughed. "You've been talking about proposing for 6 months. What are you waiting for?" "I want it to be perfect. You know Lena, right? She probably cares more about you asking than the size of the ring." "I know." "Then stop being scared." I smiled. "I'm not scared. You're terrified." I slipped the box back into my jacket. "Maybe a little." For the first time, I allowed myself to imagine Lena saying yes. I imagined her crying, laughing, and pulling me into a hug. I thought I knew what our future looked like. Then Lena started changing. She stopped asking about my day. She avoided conversations about marriage. Whenever I mentioned our apartment or future plans, she suddenly found something else to discuss. One evening, I finally asked, "Lena, what's happening?" She sat across from me at the kitchen table. "What do you mean?" "You know what I mean. I'm just tired." "You've been tired for 3 weeks." She looked down. "I'm sorry. Did I do something?" "No." "Then why do I feel like you're slowly leaving me?" Her eyes lifted toward mine. "Would you still love me if the life I wanted wasn't the life you wanted?" I laughed nervously. "What kind of question is that?" "I'm serious." "I know. I just don't understand." She swallowed hard. "Answer me." I leaned forward. "If you wanted something different, we'd talk about it. I'm not going to stop you from being happy." "But what if being happy means changing everything?" "Then we change things together." She shook her head. "You make it sound so easy." "It should be easy if we love each other." Her eyes filled with tears. My smile disappeared. "Lena, I don't know what I want anymore." I reached across the table. "Then tell me. Whatever it is, tell me." Her phone suddenly rang. She froze. I looked at the screen, but she turned it face down almost immediately. "Who is that?" I asked. "Nobody." "Nobody calls you and makes you look terrified." "I need to take this." "Lena, wait." She stood quickly. "Please." She walked outside. I remained at the table, staring at the closed door. My heart was pounding because I knew that wasn't an ordinary call. Someone had reached into the life I trusted and created a fear I couldn't name. A few minutes later, Lena came back. She picked up her phone and headed toward the bedroom. "Are you going to tell me what's happening?" I asked. She stopped. "I will." "When?" "Tonight." She disappeared into the bedroom. I sat alone, trying to convince myself that I was imagining everything. Then her phone buzzed on the counter. I didn't want to look. I really didn't. But the screen lit up. One message appeared. "Ethan, you promised you would tell him tonight." My stomach dropped. I stared at that name until the room seemed completely silent. For 3 years, I had trusted Lena without question. Now, for the first time, I wondered what else she had been hiding from me. I remembered Marcus warning me that love could make a person ignore obvious signs. I had laughed when he said it. Lena would never lie to me, I had told him. Now his words returned like a warning I had refused to hear. I checked the clock. 9:30. I considered walking into the bedroom and demanding an explanation. Instead, I stayed where I was. I wanted her to choose honesty without being forced. That hope lasted less than a minute. Her phone buzzed again. I looked away, then looked back. I knew I had crossed a line simply by seeing the first message, but the name had already changed everything inside me. I could no longer pretend now. I waited until Lena came back from the bedroom. "Who is Ethan?" She stopped beside the kitchen counter. "What?" I saw the message. Her face went pale. "You looked at my phone." I saw the screen. I wasn't searching through it. "You shouldn't have looked." "You're right. But now I need an answer." She crossed her arms. "Ethan is someone I knew before you." "Before me?" "Yes. An ex." She hesitated. "Not exactly." "That isn't an answer." "We were close." How close? Close enough that I thought I understood myself around him. I felt something inside me tighten. You couldn't tell me that. I was afraid. Afraid of what? That you would judge me. Lena, I've spent 3 years telling you everything. You were the person I trusted most. I know. No, I don't think you do. She looked down. Ethan knew a part of me that I stopped showing people. What part? The part that wanted more. More than what? More than this. I stared at her. This. Our life. I felt my chest sink. What is wrong with our life? Nothing is wrong with you. Then why does it sound like everything is wrong with us? She wiped her eyes. Because I don't know if this is the life I want. I stood slowly. Have you been seeing him? No. Have you met him? Yes. When? Recently. How recently? A few times. And you didn't tell me. I didn't know how. Did anything happen between you? No. I waited. Nothing physical happened, she said. Those words should have comforted me. They didn't. So you met another man, hid it from me, and you're telling me nothing happened. I know how it sounds. It sounds like you were building a second life while I was planning ours. I wasn't trying to replace you. Then what were you doing? She took a shaky breath, trying to understand what I want. I looked at her for several seconds. Then tell me. She sat down. I want to travel. I want to wake up somewhere new and not worry about rent, schedules, or what people expect from me. I want excitement. I want freedom. I want to make choices without feeling responsible for someone else's future. You think marriage means losing all of that? I think marriage could trap me. Did I ever trap you? No. Did I ever stop you from traveling? No. Did I ever tell you that you couldn't follow your dreams? No. Then why are you afraid of marrying me? Because I don't know who I'll become after I say yes. I swallowed hard. You could have told me. I was scared you'd try to convince me to stay. I would have listened first. I didn't believe that. That hurts. I know. I turned away. You know what hurts more? She stayed silent. I thought I was the person you could tell anything. You were. Then why did Ethan get the truth before I did? He understood that side of me. Because he wanted the same freedom. Yes. And he encouraged you to leave. He encouraged me to choose myself. I laughed bitterly. That's convenient. Don't make him the villain. He doesn't need to be a villain for me to hate what this is doing to us. He showed me that another life was possible. And I showed you what? She looked at me with tears in her eyes. You showed me how safe love can be. Then why isn't that enough? I don't know. That answer hurt more than any accusation could have. I touched the ring box hidden in my pocket and felt the future I had imagined slipping away. I was planning to propose to you. Her eyes widened. You were? Yes. I didn't know. That's the problem. You didn't know because you stopped letting me into your life. She began crying. I never wanted to hurt you. But you did. I know. I looked at the woman I had planned to marry and realized I couldn't recognize the future anymore. I closed my eyes because hearing it made everything feel unreal. Then she whispered, I don't know if I want to marry you anymore. I stood in the kitchen for several minutes after Lena told me she did not know if she wanted to marry me. Please, I said, don't end this tonight. I don't know what else to say. Then let me remind you. She looked at me through wet eyes. Remind me of what? Us. I pulled out a chair. Remember when I lost my first job? I came home convinced I had failed you. You hadn't failed me. You told me we'd figure it out together. I remember. And when your family stopped speaking to you after that argument with your father, who stayed beside you? You did. I slept on your mother's couch for 3 nights because you didn't want to be alone. I remember every night. Then don't tell me our life is a cage. Lena shook her head. Those memories are exactly why this is so hard. Hard. Leaving you. The words cut deeper than I expected. You're talking like you've already left. I haven't. But you're thinking about it. She lowered her eyes. I felt my voice crack. Lena, what else can I do? Before she could answer, Someone knocked on the door. She froze. Who is that? I don't know. The door opened before either of us moved. Lena. I recognized the voice. Diane. Her mother stepped inside and looked from me to Lena. What happened? I stared at her. You tell me. Diane hesitated. Mom, why are you here? Lena asked. You called me earlier. I didn't ask you to come. I was worried. I looked between them. You knew. Diane sighed. Knew what? That Lena was thinking about leaving me. Silence filled the room. My stomach dropped. Diane finally said, yes. I laughed once, but there was no humor in it. How long? Several months. I stared at Lena. Several months. Please don't. Everyone knew. No. You knew, I said to Diane. Who else? Diane looked away. I felt humiliated. I was the only person who didn't know my own relationship was falling apart. That's not fair, Lena said. Not fair. I was confused. You were confused for months, and everyone around you knew except me. Diane stepped forward. I was trying to protect my daughter. From me? From a life she was becoming unhappy in. I looked at Lena. Were you unhappy with me? She whispered, yes. Why didn't you tell me? I was afraid. Afraid of what? That you'd change my mind. I stopped breathing for a moment. You thought I'd fight for us. Yes. You were afraid I'd try to save our relationship. Yes. That answer destroyed something inside me. I shook my head. I don't hate you. Then what do you feel? I feel like I loved a future that you stopped believing in. She covered her face. Diane said quietly, maybe you both need time. I looked at her. Time won't change what Lena chose. Lena whispered, I haven't chosen yet. I looked at her. You chose when you stopped telling me the truth. She had no answer. I felt calm. The pain was there, but beneath it was something. I could not control her decision. I could only decide what I'd do next. Finally, that thought gave me strength. I realized she had already made emotional decisions without letting me speak. She had carried our relationship to a courtroom where I was never allowed to defend myself. I walked to the bedroom. Where are you going? Lena asked. I need something. I opened the drawer beside my bed and took out the small ring box. When I returned, neither woman spoke. I placed the box on the table. Lena stared at it. I bought this for you, I said. I was going to ask you to marry me. Her lips trembled. I know, she whispered. I pushed the box toward her. I don't want to beg someone to choose me. Lena touched the box but didn't open it. I stepped back. For the first time that night, I wasn't trying to convince her. I was accepting what she had already decided. Then Lena looked at the ring and whispered, maybe I was waiting for you to hate me. I spent my first night at Marcus's apartment staring at the ceiling. You need to sleep, Marcus said. I can't. You've been awake for almost 2 days. I need answers. You need distance. I sat up. How am I supposed to stay away when I don't even know what happened? You know enough. No, I don't. Marcus sighed. Listen to me. Don't call Lena. Don't beg her. Don't ask her to choose you. What if she leaves? She already told you she's thinking about leaving. That doesn't mean I should give up. It means you should stop chasing someone who is running. His words hurt because they were true. The next morning, I returned to the apartment while Lena was at work. I packed some clothes and opened my laptop. I noticed several recent messages from our mutual friend Daniel. One message caught my attention. Lena met Ethan again last night. I stared at the screen. When Lena came home, I asked, were you with Ethan? She stopped. Who told you? So you were. I was. How many times? I don't know. Did you lie to me yesterday? I didn't want another fight. This isn't about a fight. It's about honesty. She looked exhausted. I needed to talk to him. About us? Yes. What did he tell you? That I deserve a different life. I laughed bitterly. Of course he did. Don't mock him. I'm trying not to. You don't understand. Then help me understand. She walked toward the window. Ethan offered me something you never could. I felt my chest tighten. What? Freedom. I never stopped you from being free. You gave me a good life. Then why isn't it enough? Because good isn't the same as right. I stared at her. Do you love him? She opened her mouth. Nothing came out. I waited. Lena? I don't know. That silence answered me. I looked away because I couldn't let her see how badly those words hurt. So this is what you want? I want a chance to find out. With him? Maybe. Then don't call it an accident. She frowned. What do you mean? You're making a choice. On it? I am. Then understand something. You don't get to keep me waiting while you decide whether another man is better. She started crying. I never wanted to hurt you. But you did. I know. I picked up my bag. Where are you going? I'm moving out. Tonight? Yes. Please don't make this final. You already did. I carried the last box toward the door. Lena followed me. You're really leaving? I have to. What about everything we built? I'll always remember it. Then stay. I shook my head. Love isn't supposed to make me beg for a place in someone's life. She wiped her tears. I thought you'd fight harder. I fought for us when there were two of us. I won't fight someone who has already chosen another direction. I placed my apartment key on the table. This is yours. Please. No. I opened the door. For the first time, walking away felt painful but necessary. I wasn't choosing another woman. I wasn't choosing revenge. I was choosing myself. Behind me, Lena whispered, "You don't understand what Ethan promised me." I stopped. I turned halfway around. Then I hope his promise is worth everything you just threw away. She looked at me through her tears. I walked out before she could answer. Marcus was waiting downstairs. He looked at my empty hands. It's done. I nodded. Are you okay? No. He put a hand on my shoulder. You will be. I looked back at the building. For 3 years, that place had felt like my home. Now it was only an address. I took a breath and walked beside Marcus. I didn't know what Ethan had promised Lena. Maybe he had promised adventures, expensive trips, or a life without limits. Maybe he had promised that she would never feel trapped again. I could not compete with a fantasy because I knew what real life required. But I knew one thing. I would survive. Whatever it was, I would no longer destroy myself trying to compete for her. I stopped going back to the apartment after that night. I stayed with Marcus, took extra work, and forced myself to build a routine. You look terrible, Marcus told me one morning. I feel terrible. Then do something different. I am. You're working 18 hours a day. I need something to focus on. He leaned back. What happened to that business idea you abandoned? I looked at him. You remember that? I remember everything you talked about before Lena became your whole world. His words stayed with me. That evening, I opened the old business plan on my laptop. Marcus smiled. There he is. I don't know if I can do this. You won't know until you try. I might fail. You already lost the thing you were afraid to lose. Stop being afraid of failure. For the first time in weeks, I laughed. A few days later, Marcus introduced me to Sophie at a small coffee shop. This is Sophie, he said. She's brilliant with numbers and brutally honest. Sophie raised an eyebrow. And you're the guy who wants to build a company. I want to try. Why? Because I need something that's mine. She studied me. That's not a business reason. It's my reason. She smiled. Good. Now tell me what you're selling. I explained my idea. Sophie listened carefully. When I finished, she said, the idea is good, but your plan is weak. I laughed. At least you're honest. I can help fix it. Why would you? Because I think you actually care about it. That was how Sophie became my business partner. She never asked about Lena unless I brought her up. One afternoon, I finally said, I think I built my entire identity around my relationship. Sophie looked at me. Why do you think that? Because after Lena left, I didn't know who I was. That doesn't mean you were weak. It felt weak. No, it means you forgot to keep something for yourself. Her words hit me harder than I expected. I started changing small things. I exercised. I slept better. I stopped checking Lena's social media. I worked on my business instead of wondering what she was doing. Then Daniel called me. Are you sitting down? Why? Because I have news about Lena and Ethan. I don't want to know. You sure? Yes. They're having problems. I stayed silent. Daniel continued. Ethan wants her to travel constantly. Lena still wants to help her family and keep her job. That sounds like something they need to solve. You don't care. I care about Lena as a person. I just don't want to be part of their relationship. Daniel laughed softly. You've changed. I had to. Later that week, I heard Ethan had convinced Lena to quit one of her responsibilities. Marcus asked, Doesn't that bother you? Of course it does. Then why aren't you doing anything? Because she's an adult. What if she regrets leaving? That's her decision. I realized revenge would keep me connected to them. If I wanted freedom, I couldn't spend my life waiting for their lives to collapse. My revenge wasn't hurting them. It was becoming someone they couldn't control. Weeks passed. Our business gained customers. Sophie placed a report on my desk. Read this. I opened it. What am I looking at? Growth. I stared at the numbers. This can't be right. It is. I smiled. We're actually doing this. We are. That night, my phone rang. Hello. Is this Daniel's business partner? Yes. My name is Victor Hale. I'm calling on behalf of an investment group. I sat upright. What kind of investment? Would like to discuss funding your company. I looked at Sophie. She mouthed. Who is it? I covered the phone. An investor. She immediately grabbed a notebook. Victor continued. If you're available tomorrow, we'd like to make an offer. My heart began racing. How large an offer? There was a brief pause. Large enough to change the future of your company. I ended the call and stared at Sophie. She smiled. Looks like your old life isn't the only thing that's changing. For the first time, I felt excited about tomorrow. I finally believed again. I was reviewing our latest sales report when my phone rang. Hello. Can we talk? I recognized Lena's voice immediately. What do you want? I need to see you. Why? Because there are things I never told you. I looked at the numbers on my screen. I'll meet you, but I'm not coming back. I know. We met at the cafe where we had our first date. I chose a table near the window. Lena sat across from me. You look different, she said. I am different. She nodded. Your company is doing well. It is. I'm happy for you. Why did you ask me here? She took a deep breath. Because you deserve the truth. I thought I already knew it. You know what I did. You don't know why. I waited. My parents destroyed each other, she said. They stayed married for years, but they stopped being happy. Every argument became a war. Every decision became a battle. I watched them lose themselves. I frowned. You never told me that. I was ashamed. You should have told me. I know. She looked down. When we started talking about marriage, I became terrified. Terrified of me? No. Terrified of becoming them. I felt my anger soften, but only slightly. I never wanted to control you. I know that now. You knew it then. I wanted to believe you, but I was scared. And Ethan? She closed her eyes. Ethan knew about my parents. He told me marriage would eventually take away my freedom. He said you would slowly become like my father. I clenched my hands. He knew exactly what fear to use. Yes. And you believed him. I wanted to. That answer hurt. Why? Because believing him made leaving easier. I stared at her. So you didn't leave because you stopped loving me. I still loved you. Then why did you lie? She started crying. Because telling you the truth meant admitting I was hurting the person who loved me most. You could have been honest. I was afraid you'd ask me to stay. I would have. I know. She wiped her tears. I thought if I made you angry enough, you'd stop loving me. I shook my head. You turned me into your enemy because you couldn't face your own fear. I know. You let Ethan convince you that leaving me was the only way to save yourself. Yes. And now? Now I understand that freedom wasn't the problem. I was afraid of choosing my own life. I leaned back. I understand your fear, Lena. She looked at me hopefully, but understanding doesn't erase what you did. Her hope disappeared. I know. I never wanted to control you. I wanted to build a life with you where both of us could still dream. I should have trusted you. Yes. I should have talked to you. Yes. I should never have let Ethan decide what was best for me. I stayed silent. She reached across the table. Is there still a chance for us? I looked at her hand, then at her face. For months, I had imagined hearing that question. Once, I would have given anything for it. Now I finally had the strength to answer honestly. Lena, I understand why you were afraid. I understand why you wanted freedom. I even understand why you believed Ethan. Tears rolled down her cheeks. But I can't pretend your choices didn't destroy something between us. Please. I spent too long trying to save a relationship you had already abandoned. I regret it. I believe you. Then forgive me. I can forgive you without going back. She lowered her head. Is that really the end? I wanted to comfort her, but I knew comfort could become another promise. I had spent months carrying her fear as if it were my responsibility. Now I understood something painful. Loving someone did not mean rescuing them from choices they made themselves. I took a slow breath. There was a chance. You destroyed it when you chose someone else. She closed her eyes. I stood, and for the first time, walking away did not feel like losing her. It felt like finally choosing myself. I was reviewing a contract when Lena called. Can you help me? Her voice sounded different. What happened? Ethan left. I closed my eyes. What do you mean, left? He took his things and disappeared. Are you safe? Yes, but I don't know what to do. What happened to the life he promised you? She was silent. Then she whispered, it wasn't what I thought. I leaned back. Tell me. He told me we'd build something together. He said he'd found investors and that I could leave my job and travel with him. And you believed him? Yes. What happened? The investors were never real. My stomach tightened. And the money? He borrowed money using my name. I stared at my desk. How much? Enough that I can't pay it. I wanted to ask why she was calling me. Instead, I already knew. Lena, why are you telling me this? Because I don't know who else to call. That sentence brought back every night I had spent alone after leaving our apartment. I remembered staring at the ceiling, wondering why I had not been enough. I remembered promising myself I would never become that desperate again. I can help you find a way out, I said. She breathed shakily. Will you pay the debt? No. Silence. Then what can you do? I can help you find work. You won't give me money. I won't rescue you from a choice you made. She began crying. I deserve that. No. You deserve a chance to rebuild. That's different. I called Sophie after hanging up. I need a favor. What happened? Lena needs work. Sophie paused. You're helping your ex? I'm helping someone who needs a job. Are you sure? Yes. Then I'll send you a position we have available. When I told Lena, she sounded shocked. You really did this? Yes. Why? Because I know what it feels like to lose everything. You don't want anything from me? No. Not even another chance. I looked at the contract on my desk. No. She became quiet. I don't understand you anymore. That's okay. You don't need to. The next morning, Sophie walked into my office smiling. Guess what? What? We got it. Got what? The North Star contract. I stood up. The biggest contract we've ever pursued. She nodded. The entire deal. I laughed. How big? Big enough to change the company. I looked around my office. Months ago, I had been sleeping on Marcus's couch, wondering how I would survive. Now I was standing inside a company I had built from nothing. Marcus called moments later. Did Sophie tell you? Yes. You did it, brother. I smiled. I couldn't have done it alone. No, but you had to become the man who could do it. That sentence stayed with me. Later that afternoon, Lena came to the office. She stood near the door, looking at everything around her. You really changed this place. I changed myself first. She nodded slowly. I can see that. I hope the job helps. It will. Then take it seriously. I will. She looked at me for a long moment. I used to think freedom meant running away from everything. I said nothing. She swallowed. Now I think I understand. What do you understand? Her eyes filled with tears. I finally understand what my secret desire really was. I just wanted to feel free. I asked, free from what? From fear, she said. From becoming my parents. I thought leaving you would make me free. And now I know freedom isn't another person giving me permission to escape. I nodded. Then remember that. I will. Do you ever regret leaving me? I regret how we ended. I don't regret choosing myself. She smiled sadly. I wish I had understood that sooner. So do I. I'll pay everything back. I know you will. And I won't ask you for anything again. That might be best for both of us. Thank you. Goodbye, Lena. Goodbye. I watched her walk away without following. My old life was behind me. My new life was finally mine. I finally felt truly free from the past. I was the man I had rebuilt. 8. You spilled coffee on your shirt. You laughed for 5 minutes. You deserved it. I smiled. I remember going home that night and telling Marcus I'd met the woman I wanted to marry. Lena looked down. I remember being happy. So do I. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then Lena said, I used to think freedom meant escaping commitment. I know. I thought marriage would slowly take everything from me. Did you ever believe I would? Not because of you. Because of what I watched growing up. I nodded. I understand that now. She looked into my eyes. But I understand something else too. Freedom isn't running away whenever life becomes difficult. What is it? Choosing honestly, making your own decisions, then accepting what those decisions cost. I smiled faintly. That took you a while to learn. It did. She took a breath. I hurt you. Yes. I lied to you. Yes. I let Ethan influence me when I should have trusted myself. Yes. She swallowed. I am sorry. I waited for her to continue. She didn't. You're not asking me to come back, I said. No. Why? Because an apology shouldn't be a trade. That answer surprised me. She continued, I don't want forgiveness because I want something from you. I want you to know that I finally understand what I did. I looked down at my coffee. I forgive you. Her eyes filled with tears. Really? Yes. Even after everything. I can forgive you without pretending it didn't happen. She nodded slowly. I don't want you to forget. I won't. We talked for almost an hour. I told her about the first apartment we rented. You remember that broken heater? I remember you trying to fix it. I made it worse. You nearly froze us. I was proud of that repair. She laughed through her tears. I remembered our cheap takeout dinners, our long walks, and the night we danced in the kitchen because our favorite song came on. I miss those moments, she whispered. So do I. Do you ever wish we could go back? I thought carefully. I wish we could go back and make better choices. That's different. Yes. She nodded. I wish I had told you the truth sooner. I wish I had noticed you were struggling. You shouldn't blame yourself. I know that now. I looked at her. Our relationship didn't fail because I wasn't enough. No, she said softly. It failed because we wanted different lives and didn't know how to talk about it. And because I let fear make decisions for me. And I let pride make decisions for me. She smiled sadly. Maybe we were both trying to protect ourselves. Maybe. I felt something inside me finally loosen. For months, I had carried anger because I thought losing Lena meant losing part of myself. Now I understood that I had never lost myself. I had only forgotten who I was. Lena reached across the table but stopped before touching my hand. I won't ask you to stay. Thank you. I won't ask you to forgive me again. You don't have to. I just hope you're happy. I smiled. I am. She looked relieved, then thoughtful. We stood together when it was time to leave. Outside the cafe, the evening air felt calm. I looked at the street where we had once walked together after our first date. I used to think happiness meant having someone beside me. What do you think now? I think happiness means being honest with myself. And if you love someone, then I love them without losing myself. She nodded. That sounds peaceful. It is. For the time being, saying goodbye did not feel like punishment. It felt like permission to move forward. Lena wiped a tear and smiled. Lena looked at me one last time. Are you happy now? I smiled at Lena. Yes, but happiness did not come from replacing you. She studied my face for a moment. I believe you. I finally believe myself too. We said goodbye outside the cafe. This time, I didn't feel the need to look back. The next morning, Sophie walked into my office carrying 2 coffees. You look different. Different how? Peaceful. I think I finally stopped fighting the past. She placed my coffee down. That sounds healthy. It feels strange. Why? Because I spent so long believing I needed someone else to feel complete. And now I know I don't. She smiled. Good. We returned to work, and our business continued growing. Over the next few months, Sophie and I became closer, but I deliberately avoided rushing into anything. One evening, she closed her laptop and asked, "Can I ask you something personal?" Sure. Why haven't you dated anyone? I thought about it, because I didn't want to use someone to forget Lena. Sophie nodded. That makes sense. I also needed to learn how to be alone. And did you? I think so. She smiled. You have. I raised an eyebrow. How would you know? Because when I met you, you were always trying to prove something. To whom? Yourself, mostly. I laughed. That obvious. Very. She became quiet. Can I tell you something else? Of course. I respect the man you became after losing Lena. I didn't know what to say. She continued. You could have become bitter. You could have blamed everyone. Instead, you rebuilt your life. I wasn't always that strong. I know. She looked directly at me. I have feelings for you. My heart skipped. Sophie. Wait. I stopped. I don't want an answer right now. Why tell me, then? Because honesty matters to me. I smiled. I appreciate that. I don't expect anything. That makes it easier to hear. She laughed softly. Good. Meanwhile, Lena was rebuilding too. Daniel occasionally gave me updates. She found a steady job, he told me. Good. She hasn't contacted Ethan. That's good too. She seems happier. I hope she is. You don't want her back? I shook my head. I want her to be okay. That's enough. A few days later, Diane asked to meet me. I almost refused. Instead, I agreed. She sat across from me and folded her hands. I owe you an apology. I waited. I interfered in your relationship. Yes. I thought I was protecting Lena. You were protecting her from a future you feared. She looked down. I encouraged her to make decisions based on fear. That wasn't fair to either of us. I know. She took a breath. Can you forgive me? I already have. Her eyes widened. Really? Yes. But how? Because I don't need you to suffer for me to heal. She nodded slowly. I wish I had understood that sooner. So do I. I can't change what happened. No, but I wish I could. The past can't be rewritten. She looked at me sadly. You've changed. I had to. When I left, I realized I no longer needed anyone to admit they were wrong. I didn't need Lena to regret choosing Ethan. I didn't need Ethan to fail. I didn't need Diane to blame herself. Their choices belonged to them. My future belonged to me. That evening, Marcus called. How are you? Good. Actually good. Actually good. He laughed. That's what I wanted to hear. The next morning, Sophie entered my office holding 2 plane tickets. What are those? A proposal. For the company? No. I smiled. Then what? A trip? Business? She shook her head. No. I stared at the tickets. Just us. She nodded. Not as business partners. My heart began beating faster. Then as what? She smiled. As two people who might finally be ready to start something new. I looked at her, and for the first time, the future didn't frighten me. It felt like an invitation. I accepted Sophie's invitation. Before leaving, I drove back to the apartment where Lena and I had once lived. I stood outside for a moment, holding my old key. Then I whispered, one last time. The apartment was empty. I walked through the rooms slowly. The kitchen still had the same window where Lena used to drink coffee every morning. The living room still carried the shape of our old memories, even though everything else was gone. I sat on the floor. I really thought losing you destroyed me, I whispered. But the room gave me no answer. I remembered the nights I had cried at Marcus's apartment. I remembered blaming Ethan, blaming Lena, and blaming myself. Then I realized something. Lena's secret desire had not destroyed my life. It had forced me to discover one I had been too afraid to build. I stood and looked around one final time. I don't belong here anymore. I left the key on the counter and walked outside. Lena was waiting near the building. I stopped. You came. I wanted to say goodbye properly. I nodded. How are you? Better. Your job. I kept it. Good. She smiled. I've been paying my debts. I know. I don't want you to think I'm doing it for you. I don't. I want to prove to myself that I can rebuild what I damaged. I smiled. Then keep going. She looked at me for several seconds. I hope you find the happiness you deserve. I hope you do too. I used to think you would hate me forever. I thought I might. And now? Now I understand that anger kept me connected to you. She nodded. I don't want that anymore. Neither do I. She wiped away a tear. Are you really going on that trip with Sophie? Yes. Are you nervous? A little. That's good. Why? Because it means you care. I smiled. Maybe. She took a breath. I was wrong about what freedom meant. I know. I thought freedom meant having nobody depending on me. And now? Now I think freedom means being honest enough to choose my life and strong enough to accept the consequences. That sounds like something you finally understand. I do. We stood quietly. No anger remained. No promises were made. No old wounds were reopened. Finally, Lena said, goodbye. Goodbye, Lena. I walked away. This time, I didn't look back. The next morning, Sophie and I boarded our flight. She looked at me after we settled into our seats. You're quiet. I'm thinking. About Lena? I shook my head. No. About me. She smiled. That sounds promising. It is. Hours later, we reached the coast. We woke before sunrise and walked toward the water. Sophie stood beside me as the sky slowly changed. Beautiful, she whispered. Yeah. She looked at me. What are you thinking? I watched the first light appear across the horizon. I used to think love meant giving everything to another person. And now I think love should make room for two people to remain themselves. Sophie smiled. I agree. I looked at her. I don't know what happens next. You don't need to. That's new for me. She laughed softly. I think uncertainty can be exciting. I think you're right. We stood together as the sun rose. For the first time in years, I wasn't afraid of what tomorrow might bring. I didn't need to know whether Sophie and I would fall in love. I didn't need to know how successful my company would become. I didn't need to know whether Lena would ever think about me again. I only needed to know that my life belonged to me. I had survived the heartbreak. I had forgiven without forgetting. I had rebuilt without revenge. And I had finally learned that walking away from someone could sometimes be the beginning of finding myself. Sophie looked at me. Ready? I smiled. More than ever. We started walking along the shore. I felt lighter with every step. I once thought losing her was the end of my story. In the end, it was the first page of the life I had been too afraid to live.